live to all of you across the world. I haven't gone live for like 2, 3 weeks, trying to recover from everything. But now we're here. We're here at the monastery with former novice Jorge and Jennifer, who are now taking a tour of the monastery. So I'm going to give my regular standard spiel on the life of Buddha, a short summary of the life of Buddha for them to be inspired as they're in the CBT program right now. So here we have our one and only historical Gautama Buddha when he was a baby, and this is his mother, Maya, not to mistaken with Mara. And he was born on the side of her ribs. So she touched the leaves, and then boom, he was born. And so he took 7 steps. Pay attention to number 7 in the life of the Buddha. She's like, let me count. Pay attention to the number 7 when you read the life of the Buddha. There's a significance in the number 7. And pretty much, he says, I teach the path to heaven. And if you want to go your route, you might just get a taste of what the underworld is like. That's why the other hand's pointed downwards. So there's my way, and I teach happiness and liberation. And there's your way, and your way just may take you back down to samsara, the wheel of BS is what I call it. Just never-ending BS, especially here in the U.S. So. Beautiful. She passed away after he was born. 7 days after he was born, she passed away. So he felt that hurt and pain. He was the first one to feel that depth of pain of losing a mother. Along his young life, he studied military arts, and amongst other academic subjects, he was out here where we are at. And he saw a bird come down and grab a worm and ate it, and he was like, wow, that's really mean, because that worm just wanted to be happy just like you. He would never do that to you. I don't understand you do that to him. He pondered that, and he was like, why is life full of these cycles of like endless trying to survive, and especially the killings. He witnessed killings. He witnessed murder right there and then. That's why the first precept is refrain from killing. So he was very philosophical. He just sat there and just analyzed everything, using nature to connect with mind, and mind connect with nature. That's why I ordain people in nature for that fact. And when you sit out here, you'll see there's birds everywhere on top of there. You see all sorts of things crawling around. It's Florida, it's a bunch of critters. And one must think that they too want to be happy. This directly relates to couples counseling, because she also wants to be happy, and he wants to be happy. So, knowing that the other individual sentient being wants to be happy, how could you contribute intentional stress to the other person? That's the moral of the story. Then we'll take our round over here. It goes in this order. Here we have the Buddha sitting underneath the. We'll just pretend like this is the Bodhi tree. But he sat after 6 years of ascetic practices, he sat for 49 days with a firm resolve that, after his ascetic practices, he was going to die. Because he was so skinny. He was beating up his body. Just trying to, all these teachings that told him, if you beat up your body, you would be cleansed of all your karma. And he kind of bought into that, practiced it, realized it's not working out. He was hanging on by a branch, and he was about to die. When the river was flowing down, he was like hanging on a branch to dear life, when a woman appeared. And the woman gave him rice porridge to save him. So he just grabbed this thing and chugged it down, and he's like, all right, I'm good now, thank you. And he made this firm resolution, and he says, I'm gonna go over there, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna meditate for 49 days. And if I don't get enlightened, we'll have a different problem. And he did. He sat and meditated for 49 straight days and realized the Four Noble Truths. And after he realized the Four Noble Truths, he walked to Deer Park with the 5 original ascetics. We won't go over there because it's hot. With the 5 original ascetics, and they practiced with him back in the day, and they're like, oh, here comes Gautama, the prince, the guy that indulges in pleasures, the guy that indulged in all of these things, and you know, he's got it good, and obviously he has slide back to pleasure. He has slide back to his old ways in his old days. And the Buddha was like, no, I didn't. I became enlightened. And then they're like, oh, all right, dude. So he started speaking very differently. And then he told them, have I ever spoken like this before? Have you ever seen me in this manner before? And they started to analyze a little bit more, and they're like, no. So tell us what you know. So he sat there, and that was the start of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the first turning of the wheel of the Dhamma. That will go into after your CBT studies, studying the first discourse that he gave on the Four Noble Truths. And then they all got hooked. Now, each one of them guys over there were like TikTok influencers. They had thousands of followers. They were leaders. So after they ordained and shaved their head and donned the robes, all their followers also was ordained. So that's how the army of the Buddha multiplies so quickly. Yeah, so I call them TikTokers. the TikToking disciples, that's what I call them. Because they're equivalent to the TikTok monk that's talking right now. So this is where I volunteered the most, here at this monastery. I volunteered here before becoming a monk. For like a very long time, like I think I volunteered for like 10 years, 10 or 11 years. Got a lot of awards here, community service awards, got a bunch of stuff. So he taught for 45 years, 84,000 teachings he left us, and this is when he passed away. Y'all can come a little closer if you guys want. Or here, you guys can come over where I was. Okay. And he knew he was going to pass away at 80. At 80, he says, I'm clocking out, y'all. So he dragged himself in between 2 sala trees and lay down in this position. This is the only statue in the entire world you'll see a holy man lying down like this, which is the Buddha. And he says, he tell everyone to gather around. He's like, listen, I'm gonna clock out now. And some of the last teachings I'm gonna give you all is always be heedful. So always be mindful. And let the discipline guide you, the vinaya guide you. He didn't leave anyone succeeding. He didn't let anyone, succeed to be the next Buddha, because all of us have the capacity to be a Buddha. We all have Buddha nature in us. We just have to be disciplined enough to stay straight on the path. But this is, by the way, and the way how, it's very peaceful. Every statue of the Buddha is very peaceful. And, before he also died, he was subject to like 9 different karmic actions. One of the funny ones, because we have couples here today, was that he was accused of impregnating a woman. Can you imagine that, being a Buddha, and then someone's like, excuse me, you knocked this other girl up. And the Buddha's like, no, I didn't. What do you mean? So his foot right there was pierced by a arrow, I believe it was. You gotta take that? Maybe it's the CEO from Florida Blue.
I'm gonna advertise him.
So his foot was pierced by an arrow. Why am I sharing this? Because if the Buddha was subject to his own karmic things that he did in his previous lives, that after becoming enlightened, he was still experiencing back pains like all of us do. Okay? So that means that this is the importance of giving more and taking less in life. No different than after when we eat, that out of all the things that I could say during the blessing and after the blessing, I chose to say, The food that we about to digest and the energy that we receive today, may we use all of that to dedicate our body, speech, and mind for the benefit of other people. That way your karma lightens up. Because you're not a Buddha, and he is the Buddha, and he was subject to 9 different karmic things that happened to him. So what makes you think you exempt? Even if both of you are arahants standing here, someone can shoot an arrow right now or hit a golf ball right now and hit you in the head. And you'll be like, what did I do? I don't know what you did, but it's catching up. It's catching up. But this is the ideal. This is the ideal thing. Also, to look at how he died and realize this is how you also want to die. Because the way how you live usually determines the way how you die. So if you live like a drug dealer, you will die like a drug dealer. If you live like a thug, you will probably die like a thug. And the last time I checked, they didn't die very peacefully. They died with a couple bullet holes. So I think that the funeral directors probably didn't even have to drain their blood because they drained it for them. Reflect on that, right? A lot of people nowadays, the jail's getting bigger. People are not heeding the advice of the wise, Buddha, Christ, all of them, and they don't look very peaceful. As monks, we attend hundreds and thousands of funerals, and a lot of them look very angry in the coffin. You have the best funeral director, and you still look angry. Why? Because you didn't live a good life. You had attachment at the time of death. Couldn't let go at the time of death. So people really need to reflect on that. Like if you've studied death and if you've been to as many funeral homes like we have, and you look inside the coffin and you're like, George is pissed. Wow, very pissed. I mean, likewise, and I've told people over and over again, when I die, you're gonna see the one monk that smiles when he dies. Because I did what needed to be done. Study what needed to be studied and practice what needed to be practiced. My grandmother had attachment to me before she died. She did not look happy when she died. And I looked at that funeral situation and I was like, woman, I hope you go in a good place. And you had 80 years to practice. I don't know what happened at the end, but at the end, and she just gave so much insight at the end. She says, I didn't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you. I looked up at her and I'm like, what do you mean? Your vitals are fine. But for some reason, something told her she was going to clock out. So you must let everything go at the moment of death. Good life equals a good death, and that's always the goal in Buddhism. Everyone fears death. And like I said, live it wisely, because when you get older, you can relive it again. That I'm now starting to experience myself at this young age. As I'm slowing down and thinking about finishing up the book is, you know what I mean? Like, look at where you guys are at now with me. Now you have hundreds of videos to listen to in the car. That's hundreds of hours because of what I did. What happened if, I didn't do that? It's just hit up the strip clubs every weekend. No, you wouldn't have that. So anyways, so I'm gonna show you the, now let's go to the future Buddha here, Maitreya here.
That's Maitreya. That's him, huh?
This is Maitreya Buddha, also known as Maitreya. We do have a Venerable Maitreya. He was actually one of the first monks that I saw on the airplane. You got the little TV screen on the airplane, and there was a series on mindfulness, and Venerable Maitreya was this adorable Indian monk, and he spoke about the mind and meditation and what it did for him. And I believe after watching that video was when I wanted to ordain as a monk in 2015. And so we will not see this Buddha come in this lifetime. But the point of this statue for all of you, what it means to us is that you be the Buddha. You be the Buddha in this lifetime for all of us to be inspired of. And learn to forgive, learn to ask for forgiveness, learn the Four Noble Truths, teach CBT, teach the Four Noble Truths, teach about precepts, teach about causes and conditions for the younger generations. It's not about us all the time. It's about now the younger generation that's, Matter of fact, right over there is a middle school, and they broke his hand, and then ran away. They've actually damaged a lot of statues around here. I was appointed head of security here, and I'm like, why do you guys need security at a monastery? And then Hillsborough County Sheriff Deputy Felix Bless was like, well, because we got a middle school, there's gang activities, and this is before the big fence was here. This was all open. We did not have a fence, or when I was head of security here. So it's just to show, to tell you the ignorance of our children, that they can't even respect statues, and very, very disruptive, and what's the criminal terminology? Criminal mischief.
Mischief.
But now it becomes a little bit more concerning because Halloween just passed, and at the time of this talk, a 17-year-old started to spray bullets at people, and one got killed and 8 others injured in Orlando, right in front of the police car with lights on. He pulled out a gun and shot these people, and there are police officers on the other side of the police car that tackled him. And I'm like, are you not smart? Police? Here. Running away? You're not gonna get away. So that's what our world is coming to. And mass shootings, multiply. And at the time of this talk, we have election season, so there are certain leaders that should not be leaders, that uses wrong speech instead of right speech, like the Buddha have taught. And that's why you guys are future Buddhas, to combat hate in the world. And here's my pitch to everybody around the world. Evil proliferates when good people do nothing. So as all of you sitting on your couch across the world watching this, or whatever you're doing, and if you're not, you have a duty, you have a privilege to know and a duty to act. There are people that woke up deaf this morning. So they don't have the privilege to know. You are listening. American Standard English, uttered by the American Vietnamese Buddhist monk. So you have a duty to act. And if you don't act, don't complain. Why is the world like this? I don't know, Karen. Maybe you didn't act. Why is the world like this? I don't know, Tom. Perhaps you didn't act in a timely manner. So, every year when I give these type of talks, I press it a little harder and a little deeper into the talks, so that people understand what's happening in the world and what you can do about it. The problem, people don't. And at the time of, after this talk, they're probably like, what's on Netflix again? So, again, how do you want to be remembered? Being a lawyer, doctor, professor, that's not really noble. It really isn't. Being the Buddha in this lifetime is. Teaching the Four Noble Truths and the threefold training is the noblest thing you will do in this lifetime. Trust me. Every profession I've had, so I know, ain't noble. It just ain't. Like the monk life. So I just hope that everyone really understands, hone in on that real talk that I'm talking about here, and to be inspired. It's horrible about the amount of violence in the world. Now we go in the back of the monastery, and I show you guys where we practice meditation, because everyone has a separate each hut with AC.
Wow.
It's literally like 4 feet by 4 feet. Yeah, it's like solitary confinement for you to sit there and analyze your mind. And it was constructed by my teacher himself. Like 10 of them back there. So
Would that be
10 lucky individuals get to confine themselves into solitary confinement of meditation, which is good, because people don't
Quiet
like,
your mind.
come, sit, relax, think about what you've done this week. Look at your mistakes and how you can improve them. So meditation is just that, solitary confinement. Trying to confine yourself in one place, nice and quiet, analyze your mind. It is exciting that the monastery here, due to the local support here, that they're able to do that. And it's just very detailed. Everything here is very detailed. And I'm just lucky to live in a city where, we have access to such monastery for teachings and meditation. So many statues to reflect on, and appreciate Jorge for holding the video. Or maybe we'll just walk back here. I'll just continue.
Hmm?
Giving the teaching. And thank goodness it's not that sunny or hot. we got a nice temperature to relax. And if y'all just wondering where my grandma is right now, she's right in there chilling. She's right in there chilling in a jar of ashes. All of us will be reduced down to a jar of ashes. And in Buddhist, you should think about cremation, not burial. Because once you're gone, you're gone. Stop trying to take up space on the earth. There's no point. Yes, no point. But those are the meditation huts. See the little huts? Wow, they even painted it. They had roofs and my God, it went from like a couple $100 project to now like, you know, maybe one of these costs like $2,000. In my head, that's what I like to think. I didn't build it. I built that. But look at the little benches out here. Oh my goodness. Very peaceful.
10 hours?
What happened?
10 hours, did you say? 10 hours did you sit here?
It's on a
Who
bunch.
can? I can't.
Oh.
You guys have a seat. Right?
Thank you.
Have a seat. No. It you start off with a couple minutes and you gradually increase to 20 or 30 minutes of mindfulness of the breath. That's actually a little sign right there. It says Anapanasati right there. Yeah, mindfulness of the breath on the window. And then slowly, and by the way, inside one of these huts, there's actually a statue like that inside. So you're actually very intimate with the Buddha. Very intimate with the Buddha. They're all locked. Obviously, these are all being occupied. That's why there's locks. There's no one in it right now, but they can enter it at any time for practice. Oh, we need to head back. It's raining. But yeah. This is the back of the monastery. And the front's got, on the side, they have a couple more sections. But all the oohs and ahs were in the front. Yeah, it has power. Look at this. We have power line. We have another Buddha here. Thank you, Jorge, for holding that. That's awesome.